Good evening. I'd like to call to order the council meeting for September 11th. Mr. Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Certainly. Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Garza.
Here.
Councilmember Hussein. Councilmember Jackson.
Present.
Councilmember Cost.
Here.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Present.
Councilmember Spitzley. Councilmember Wood.
Here.
There are 6 members present, a quorum, and we are to the meditation and pledge of allegiance.
Is there anyone that would like at this time to remember someone during, yes, Mayor Shore?
I just want to recognize that today is September 11th, and certainly as we remember, we should remember all of those who lost their lives, who were affected by the attacks on September 11th, and everybody who protects us here every day, our police, our fire, our dispatchers, our military, all of our first responders, but especially those who paid the ultimate price to protect us and died in Pennsylvania, in New York, and in Virginia.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that anyone would like us to remember at this time? Seeing none, if we could please rise at this time. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have for your approval the council proceedings of August 28th.
Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. With that, I'd move the August 28th meeting minutes as written.
All right, we have a motion. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And we are to the consideration of late items.
Vice President Garza.
Okay, with that, I move to suspend Rule 9 to consider a late item for referral, which is the Disaster Contingency Fund revenue appropriation.
Thank you. Trying to do two things at once. We have a motion before us for consideration of late item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously, and this will be under referrals when we get to it. So thank you.
And we are to special ceremonies. We have a tribute in recognition of Sinair's 30th anniversary.
Okay, if we could have those that are representing them, please come forward. And we have the mayor and we have Councilmember Garza that is coming down for this presentation.
Thank you. Okay. So, resolved by the City Council of the City of Lansing, whereas Sinair, a nonprofit headquartered in Lansing, Michigan, with offices in 5 states, providing access to investment funding, lending options, and title services that support community and economic development, creating stable, sustainable, and vibrant communities. And whereas 2023 marks Sinair's 30th year transforming communities, which started with Mark McDaniel at a card table with a phone and a Rolodex. If anybody knows what a Rolodex anymore is, I remember it. Whereas since 1993, Sinair has invested and revitalizing communities, resulted in more than $10.1 billion in community impact. Sinair has supported 1,008 housing developments, provided 63,816 affordable apartment homes, and created or retained more than 92,000 jobs. And whereas Sinair helps community development organizations, lending partners, and social motivated investors accomplish goals in underserved communities, they fill gaps in community development funding by leveraging capital from public and private sector organizations and bringing expertise to communities that need it most. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Lansing City Council hereby congratulates Sinair on 30 years of community service and dedicated problem solvers.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. And with that, I would move the resolution.
We have a motion on the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Mayor Shore.
All right, thank you, Council President. Thank you, Council Vice President. I'm not going to read ours because we probably have very much the same information, although I don't know that we have the Rolodex one. But I do, we probably do. I do want to congratulate Senair on 30 years. The work that Senair does is terrific for housing, especially low-income housing, but for those who need it. Senair is a Lansing business. It started here. They are based in Rio Town. They've been in the city, and now they're international. But they're still doing work in Lansing. They haven't forgotten their roots. If you've been to Allen Place, that doesn't happen without Senair's help and without Mark McDaniel. Mark has been a tremendous advocate for those in need for housing. You know, when we talk about housing, people go directly to Mark McDaniel. He's the first call. And he's my first call and first text and first email. So I just want to make sure that we know that the city of Lansing is appreciative and excited for 30 years. So again, I'm not going to read this, but I'm going to read the end because everything Council Vice President Garza said is what we have. But a little different from council, I get to say now, therefore, I, Andy Shore, Mayor of the City of Lansing, by the power vested in me, do hereby proclaim August 1st, 2023, which was the actual anniversary, as Senair Day in Lansing. And I encourage all residents of Lansing to join me in recognizing this outstanding organization for their many accomplishments and community contributions. And apparently you missed Senair Day. I apologize for that. But if we give this to you, you get to hang that up. So thank you, Mark. Now you can say a few words.
I'll give everybody a day off next
There
year.
you go, on Senair Day.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mark, before you leave, would you like to say a few words? We'd love to hear
Sure.
from you.
I'm always willing to do that.
I give you the mic. You know, I
Okay.
don't do that very often.
Thank
so.
you. Appreciate it. Yeah, 30 years. It's hard to imagine. When I walked into that house, I had quit a job that I was doing fine in, but I wanted to do something. I really wanted to feel like I was giving back to community, really helping people rather than just building boxes. Who had lots of people tell me this will never work. You're crazy for doing this, and here we are today. Never thought we'd ever be outside of Michigan, but we're in 9 states, and Michigan is our home. Lansing is our home. We've dedicated a lot to this city with maintaining our offices here. We've been in 3 offices, Pine Street, Lenawee, the first house, and then 2 offices that we were abandoned buildings in Rio Town. So very, very committed to the community here. We've done some very unique things, and I really appreciate the honor. I also got to recognize my wife, who's been with me. We got married the same time I started this thing. But she's been with me through this whole thing, was actually 20 years, actually part of it. So she probably should be standing here with me too. But thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, next we are moving on to an appointment, and I'm going to go to Councilmember or Vice President Garza, since Councilmember Spitzley is not here, and this is the appointment for the City of Lansing member of the Local Development and Finance Authority. So, Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. So we had a Development and Planning Committee meeting last week, and Ms. Reel was there, and she's very passionate about our community. She has a couple businesses here in Lansing and has some great ideas to bring forward to bring more people down in downtown. So we gave her some good questions. She mentioned that she would bring back any of the information that she retains from this board she plans on sitting on to any of the constituent contact meetings throughout the city. So we appreciate that. We appreciate your willingness to serve. And with that, I would move the resolution, or the appointment.
All right, we have a motion on the appointment. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. If you'd come down here into the well, we'll be glad to get you sworn in, Tracy.
Right up there to the mic. In front of everybody.
Yep.
All right, can have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Local Development Finance Authority Board Member
Local Development Finance Authority Board Member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So you can step over to the side.
Okay.
Thank you. And with that, we will move on to comments by council members. Are there any council member comments at this time? See any council member comments? Seeing none, I'll wait for the city clerk to get up here. City clerk, are there any comments?
No council member comments. I'm going to write this down
I-
somewhere.
Don't hold your breath.
Okay. We're a couple months away from the upcoming city election, so those of you who are on our automatic absentee application list should have received an application in the mail this past weekend. We are in a transition period, and people are now going to an automatic ballot list. So if you are signed up for the automatic ballot list, you will not get an application. A ballot will just magically appear at the end of this month or the very 1st of October. So just want to put that out there in case anyone was concerned that they didn't get an application. And with that, we are to community event announcements. If there's anyone in the audience who has a community event, please go ahead and step to the mic, and you have 1 minute to tell us the details of your event.
Hello, I'm Teresa Rosado, and I'm the founder and volunteer director of Casa de Rosado Galleria and Cultural Center. We are the only Hispanic cultural center in central Michigan, and in January we'll be it will be our 8th year, but I wanted to invite everyone. I've been collaborating with a bunch of artists throughout central Michigan, and on September 17th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., we will be hosting Jaime Venegas Castro. He's a painter from Michoacan, Mexico, and he is one of our highway workers. If you see these people along the freeway making cement, he's also an artist. And he's an exceptional artist. Please come and enjoy his work. We will also have a bunch of artists making calaveras. And calaveras are those beautiful skull faces that are decorative with flowers. They'll be doing their own rendition, and it's inspired by the artist Guadalupe Posada from Mexico. He popularized these on broadsheets throughout Mexico and among the non-French and Spanish-speaking indigenous people. So we will be running this exhibit until October 29th. And I want to thank the city of Lansing for our $5,000 neighborhood grant, which is enabling this. We'll be also reaching out to 800 school students in the Lansing School District and making sugar skulls. And it's a fun way for the kids to learn about Hispanic culture and traditions. And again, I want to thank you. And if we are always needing volunteers to help make 800 sugar skulls, so we have DEI work crews, and I'm way over, I believe, my time, or that's not going, is it? But thank you, everybody. So if you want to make sugar skulls, like I said, we have DEI groups that come in our gallery, and we can mold them to all together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other community event announcements? Give you 1 minute.
Okay, the Friends of Lansing's Historic Cemeteries will be hosting its 16th annual Fall Walking Tour this month on September 24th, Sunday at 3 o'clock in Mount Hope Cemetery. Philanthropists, Parks, and Places. Join us for 17 stops inside Mount Hope Cemetery, highlighting Lansing's notable philanthropists, donors of parks, and namesakes of significant places. Open to the public and free of charge, this 2-hour tour includes a midpoint refreshment break, and we ask that you mark your calendars now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other community event announcements? All right, seeing none, I do want to announce that this is the time, the deadline to sign up for speaker registration on legislative matters, as well as show cause hearings. The show cause hearings, there are several of them, and people eligible would have received a notice. It's regarding the orders to make, safe, or demolish. If you wish to address your case, please jump up and sign in with Evelyn in the next few seconds, as well as if you wish to address any of the legislative matters on the agenda, that is the blue sign-in sheet, and that would be items 8 through 16. And again, please jump up in the next few seconds and get with Evelyn in the back. With that, we are to the mayor's comments.
And before we go there, item 14 on the agenda, the cabaret license has been pulled, but because it's on the agenda, you still have an opportunity to speak on it. With that, we'll go to Mayor Shore.
All right, thank you, Madam President, Mr. Clerk. First, to continue on through our prayer, I want to thank everyone who participated in our September 11th event this morning. We continue to do this every year so that we never forget. I want to thank Chief Sosby, Chief Sturdivant, all of LPD, all of LFD, the Glen Erin Pipe and Drum Band, and the Brigadier General who gave the keynote comments, as well as the young lady who sang the national anthem. It was a good event. It was somber, but we have to do this every year so we remember. So I thank that. Oh, and Councilman Brown, who was there. I want to thank everyone who participated with the Moores Park Pool birthday party. That was a lot of fun. Got to see Councilman Koss there. I really enjoyed that. It was good to see folks out there, and we're excited to get that opened again as soon as we can get it all up to date and fixed. Coming up, we have the Play Michigan grand opening, which is the accessibility park, which is coming up on Friday. Everett High School has their Hall of Fame event on Friday. I hope everyone remembers Blues Fest is coming up this weekend. We'll also have our mobile food pantry Saturday, September 16th from 9 to 11 at Tabernacle of David. And last but not least, I would like to remind council members and constituents that are watching that Lansing runs the Lead Safe Lansing program. We've got dollars to help people look for lead and remediate lead, so please remind your constituents that we have this program. We look forward to more people applying as we've got dollars from the federal and state government, and lead remediation. We know we have lots of issues with lead houses in Lansing, with lead in houses in Lansing. We've done a good job with the pipes, but we still have lead paint and other things internal in the house. So please remind your constituents, and for everybody watching council at home, please remember we have a Lead Safe Lansing program. Go to our website and apply. We want to help our folks in Lansing with lead in their homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We are to show cause hearings. We have several show cause hearings regarding different properties. But before we get started, I do want to take a moment, since I know it came up at the Committee of the Whole. The council rules at this point in the agenda do not allow the audience to engage in conduct which disturbs, disrupts, delays, or interferes with the conduct of the meeting, including but not limited to whistling, stomping, clapping, other than during special ceremonies, and we are off of special ceremonies now. And I do just want to mention that this is so that everyone feels comfortable in expressing their diverse opinions, their different opinions, so that people who may have an opinion different from others in the audience do not feel that their speech is treated differently. So we treat everyone with that due respect. We are to show cause hearings.
Thank you. And with that, I would turn it over to Councilmember Koss.
Thank you, Council President. The first show cause hearing I have is for 1616 Glenrose Avenue. The original red tag date on that property was 1/30/17. The estimated repair cost is $41,635.44. It looks like the SEV for that property is $26,300. The demolition board met May 25th with a decision of make safe or demolish 30 days. This property is fire damaged and there are no current permits pulled for this property.
Go on. Walk.
Okay. The next one
Sir,
is,
we'll call you up after we go through this list. If you want to sit right there, you're fine. Thank you.
the next property is 1232 Pompton Circle. This was an original red tag date of 6/21/19 and 6/21 of 22. Estimated cost of repairs is $55,750.
Sir, if you would sit down, we will call you up as soon as he's done reading these lists. Thank you.
The SEV is $30,000. It looks like this went before the demolition board 4/27 of 23. Ordered make safe or demolish on 5/25/23. The property is not fire damaged. It looks like there is a roof permit. Base electrical was finalized and no other permits. The next property is 1402 Marquette Street. Estimated cost of repairs there is $64,897.66. The SEV is $36,000. This is a fire damaged property. Demolition board met on April 27th with a make safe for demolish on 5/25. The next property is, there are no current, it looks like there is a building permit pulled on that last property. No other permits have been pulled. The next property is 5016 Connors Avenue. Estimated cost of repairs there is $100,303. The SEV is $58,900. This is a fire damaged property. It's been, original red tag date was 12/22 of 19. It looks like demolition board met 4/27 of 23 with make safe on June 25th of 23. There are no current permits pulled. And finally, the last property is 3301 Turner Street. It looks like the original red tag date 1/18 of 17. Total cost of repairs is $104,088.60. SEV is $44,400. The demolition board met May 25th with a make safe for demolish in June of 25. It is a fire damaged property. Looks like there was a building permit issued on 2/2 of 23, no inspections, and electrical expired and no other permits.
Thank you, Councilmember Cos. Mr. Clerk.
Okay, we have Clarence Hassel first regarding the Glen Rose property, followed by Mohammed Saeed on the Pompton property.
Yes, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm Clarence Hassel Jr., and I don't know how else to say this, but my father did pass recently of bladder cancer around late July. And so he didn't have a will, and so the property has been in limbo. We have not been able to pull any permits or anything as such. He did have one of my brothers, he has 4 surviving heirs, and one of them had been working before he passed with Lynn, I think Punte, I think I'm butchering her name, as far as what we needed to get done. And so we're coming before the city to let you know that we believe that this property can be saved by his estate, but we just need time in order to find a lawyer and open it up and then do what we need to do.
Thank you, sir. This will be referred back to the Public Safety Committee, and on September 19th at 3:30 here in the conference room on this floor, if you could come to that meeting, then you can talk to the Public Safety Committee and they can tell you what next steps are.
Okay, September 19th?
September 19th,
Thank
yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mohammed Saeed on the Pompton property, followed by Sonia Anthony and Ronnie Ford.
Yes, sir.
I bought the property auction last year. They never told me to demo property. This premier owner, and I get the letter. I get all kind of permit, and next week, after 2 weeks, I have a final inspection. Electric, roof, siding, every permit done. That's water heater and furnace, brand new. The 2 weeks, a bit, the final inspection. And I don't know you this property have a demo. I never buy. I buy a lot of property auction and never happened like this. But the original owner, this the demo. Now for us, anything. All kind of permit, I get it. And inspection pass.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
welcome.
As I told the previous gentleman that was up here, this will be referred back to the Public Safety Committee, and we'll be taking this up on September 19th at 3:30 here on this floor, back in the conference room.
Here,
So, yes.
thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank
No
you. All
problem.
right, thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Sonia Anthony and Ronnie Ford. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Good evening. I am Sonia Anthony, and I'm here about 5016 Connors. It's actually our family home that we grew up in. My mother had purchased that home, worked really hard to purchase that home and maintain it. Pardon me?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry. Really nice house originally. Unfortunately, there was a fire there as well. We are cleaning the house. We've gotten it almost cleaned out. We're removing things from outside, and we've been talking to contractors about doing the work that's needed to get it up to code. Just definitely need more time. Unfortunately, there's been sickness and deaths along the way that has kind of put things off for us as well. But we're just asking for more time to get that done. We definitely want to do it. It's going to take a lot of work, we know that. But the foundation is good, and we just have to get the permits pulled and get the contractors in agreement.
And then also, the damage that was done, all of the rafters and everything was showing. So when we got these big storms and all the rest of that type of thing, it also, of course, added to the problem because then my basement flooded out again. So we're taking care of that now too. And we are going to, I mean, we're just here to say that we just need more time. And we're getting things around. And we'll bring the permits, we'll get the permits and start bringing them around in the next, yeah, we'll get them pulled within this next month anyway, so.
Thank you. As I told the other people that were before us, September 19th, we will be meeting here at 3:30, the Public Safety Committee, and they will be reviewing this. In order to move forward, what we ask are the following things. One, that you pull the permits that are needed. Two, that you are able to show us that you have the financing to make the repairs. And three, that you come up with a timeline that is agreed upon with code compliance. That's how we end up allowing you to have some more time on this so that we know that there's a true earnest proposal to move forward. So if you could look at those things when you come next Tuesday before us, then we'll move on from there.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on the referral of the public hearings, items 3 through 7.
So I'll go back to the Public Safety Committee.
Okay, we are to public comment on legislative matters, and that is items 8 through 16. Item 8 is a public hearing. So it's on the ordinance for Chief Strategy Officer duties.
Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. So these are the changes in the ordinance to define the Chief Strategy Officer's duties and reporting to council.
Thank you.
Okay, the first speaker tonight on legislative matters is Stan Schuck, although, nope, you want to be on the other one, okay.
Thank you, Stan.
Loretta Stanaway, you put down some items that aren't legislative. Do you have legislative matters you want to talk about? No, those are referrals.
Thank you.
Okay. Dion Freeman, followed by Mike Lynn.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Dion Freeman. I'm from Flint, Michigan, and I am here today to ask for the council to carefully consider revoking the cabaret license of the Energy Event Center. I have known Ryan Cabell for over 30 years. In his 20 years of having events in Flint and his 10 years of holding events in Lansing, he has never had any type of violent crime take place until now. This says a lot about his ability to hold safe events. Ryan is an upstanding citizen. He doesn't even drink, smoke, or indulge in taking any type of illegal substances. I took the time today, missing my own city council meeting in Flint, just to voice what my concerns are, just like so many other people's concerns that couldn't make it here today. It has been made known by certain people that in Lansing, there are many that don't support the management of Logan Square. I feel like some of this attempt to revoke the license is an attempt to thwart the dislike that they have for the venue's owner onto someone who abided by the regulations. Well, let's just say he didn't comply with every regulation. Immediate revocation is a harsh and unfair sentence. Every punitive system has stages. Some include warnings, many may include contingency plans moving forward. Immediate revocation is not a fair action to this businessman who has invested time and much money into the venue and the community. Please search your hearts and be the type of city officials that will help small businesses and minority business owners to have success. Be a council that is firm yet fair. Give Ryan Cabell and the Energy Event Center a chance to thrive. Give him the chance to survive socially and economically. Revoking his license will hinder his economic freedom and pursuit of happiness and the ability to recoup costs that he invested into the facility. I would encourage the council to work with the police department to ensure that they are more responsible for cruising through these types of events. Having a police presence at these large events will help reduce some criminal activity. Come up with a solution that is not so extreme in action. And I was here earlier and I was going to ask you to please postpone your decision until all the questions were answered, and you guys have already done that. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Mike Lynn and then Farhan Sheikh Omar.
So I have a different take on why you all postponed that, and I'm hoping I'm not correct. But Peter coming up with a postponement means to me that I don't think you guys felt you had the votes to vacate it. There's two people missing from here, with Spitzley missing in, with Adam gone, and I just figured you thought this was going to get thrown away. You don't need any more time. We've had all the time you need, and I think for somebody who's been in this situation, who's had to come in here for these dates and so on and so forth, for the person that owns the place that has to come to this, it's stress that I can't even express to you all. Since I've been sitting here, my heart rate spiked 5 times. I've been told my heart's gonna explode one of these days from the stress of all that I've been through personally, so I know what it means to hear, well, you're gonna have to wait another week for an outcome here. So I don't think that was as good as some people may believe it was, to push that down when you guys could have either placed it on file or made a decision today. You know the right decision to make. Outside of that, Ryan Cabell being called to the table, the first that we hear his name, I think it is true. As she said, and as Ryan and most people did, you guys have a problem with Logan Square, and so do we. I think we're all in agreement on Logan Square needs some changes. I don't think that Ryan Cabell is the reason why that is, again, but I find it really funny that he got called to the table with such an extreme outcome as soon as he did, given the fact that, as you all know, with our advocacy, we've been trying to call certain individuals to the table for even some form of accountability whatsoever. To think that he's here for violating a cabaret ordinance and it's already on table for eviction or to take a revocation, and we have, you know, the mayor who has violated multiple ordinances over and over again. You all know it, we know it, and there's been no process whatsoever up to this point to give any type of accountability to him. As you all have seen, we've gotten some of the FOIA requests back from the issues here with the ethics violation. If you need to take some history, Lightfoot, I believe her name is, in Chicago, had the same issues and violated their ethics ordinance. If you need information, I can send that to you for the exact same thing. We're still now, even after this council has demanded that the city attorney release all of the FOIA information to us, have still not received that FOIA back. They're violating laws. But they don't care because go ahead and take us through the process. What are you gonna do, sue us? They don't get an immediate response the way Ryan Cabell gets immediate response. If we had immediate responses for that office and that administration the way Ryan Cabell was pulled in here, a lot of stuff would get done in an absolute amount of time. So we don't need to kick that down the can while we're waiting months and months and months for any accountability for people who have wide open in front of your guys' faces violated ordinances in that same charter. Still haven't heard a response back from the city attorney. I still haven't heard a response back, and as we're sitting here, Mark Lawrence, have you received any of my emails about my First Amendment rights and getting press releases? I've emailed you, I've CC'd the city council president, I've CC'd Adam Hussein, I've CC'd the media. This is how they respond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Farhan Sheikh Omar.
Good evening, Farhan Sheikh Omar. One thing I want to talk about tonight is due process, and I believe due process is a fundamental principle of our justice, and the Energy Center was never given any due process. When you have a mayor who goes out there in public and says that he wants this business shut down, and then you guys hire one of his employees to conduct the investigation, you guys have denied Mr. Cabell his due process right. And so that is, I don't know how anybody can sit here and make a decision based on the investigation that has been conducted by one of his employees. What exactly are they supposed to do? If your boss tells you to do something, you do it. That's just the truth. And so this entire investigation is flawed, I believe personally, and I know many people won't say this, it is racially motivated. I'm not saying it's you guys, but it is very clear. We've had over 300 shootings in the city, and not once did the mayor go after any other business. We've had shootings in front of Tin Can. That's why every Saturday you have 5-6 cops out there. We've had shootings in front of the Lugnan Center. You've had shootings in front of the Lansing Center. You've had shootings in front of the Capitol building right here recently. You've had guns that were stolen from 517 gun range, although that's not in Lansing. We've had many issues in this city, and not once have we gone after a business. And so the fact that we're doing this, to me, is nothing more than a political stunt. This is a political stunt by a mayor who doesn't have a vision, who doesn't have a strategy, and his police chief is just as clueless as he is. And so the only thing that he can do is say, you know what, I went after this business. Let's just say you guys do revoke his license. Then what? The shootings are not gonna stop. You know how I know that? Because we've had 10 shootings after that shooting. 4 people have died after that shooting. And more people are gonna die after you guys, or if you guys decide to revoke his license. So let's not kid around, let's not play around. You know, this is a real issue. Lives are at stake. Let's come to the table with solutions. We know this isn't gonna solve the problem. We've been dealing with this for a long time, and so I hope we get serious about the gun violence in this city and not give a political stunt victory to a desperate mayor who hasn't done anything since he's been reelected. And so I hope that this license is not revoked. I want to see you guys, I want to challenge you guys to come up with solutions on how to truly end the gun violence in this city, because taking his license is not going to solve the issue, and we all know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the referral of public hearing item 7.
That'll go back to committee of a whole.
And we are to the consent agenda.
Vice President Garza.
All right, thank you, Council President. I move the following items on the consent agenda, and they are as follows. A tribute in recognition of Senair's 30th anniversary.
We did that.
I'm sorry.
We're
we
done.
did. The grant acceptance, U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets for All, and authorization for early voting in non-statewide elections.
All right, we have these two items for the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose. Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to resolutions for action. We have item 13, the budget amendment.
Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. I move the budget amendment substitute. Sorry.
All right, we have the substitute in front of us. All those in favor of the substitute say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now we will discuss the substitute. Vice President Garza.
Okay. All right, so with the substitute, we are restoring the operating budget for city council, courts, mayor's office, city clerk's office, treasury income tax, human services, public service for storm, and parks and recreation as well. Total expenditure appropriation is $3,185,000.
Okay, we have the substitute, and as council members remember, we pulled out the HRCS portion of the budget to vote on the 18th. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose. Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, item 14 has been pulled, so we're to item 15, the Fireworks Safety Act.
And that's Councilmember Spatafor.
Thank you, Madam President. The resolution that I'm asking you all to consider tonight urges the legislature to repeal Michigan Fireworks Safety Act of 2011 and return the laws to the banning of the sale and use of fireworks in the state of Michigan. Holiday after holiday, we hear from constituents all across the city about the total disregard for the hours in which fireworks can be discharged, the trauma that they do inflict upon those who suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome, as well as the noise and air pollution attributed to them. This was not necessarily the case pre the change in law that allowed for the sale and use of these types of fireworks in the state of Michigan. This council has passed a resolution similar to this before under different leadership when our legislators introduced bills. I'm hoping that this time will be different and asking council to support the resolution that I move.
All right, we have the resolution before us, and again, as Councilmember Spatafor said, we did send one over to the legislature before bills were introduced by then Representative Anthony, except they didn't go anywhere. So hopefully this one will make a difference. Are there any questions? Yes, Councilmember Jackson.
Just a comment as I was thinking how, our resolution affects the lug nuts that we always support, and basically just like that's a lot more days that there's fireworks up when there's a baseball game. And if we don't like that because of the trauma, then I just wonder how it kind of goes against each other. But it's not a question, it's just a comment.
Councilmember Spatafor, would you like to weigh in on that?
I totally appreciate the argument, Councilmember Jackson. I think when we look at the commercial grade fireworks that we authorize for sale, I'm here to tell you too, would they make silent fireworks? I actually enjoy the drone show better at Silver Bells and all those types of things. Right now, this is specifically about the consumer grade fireworks, and I'd be happy to talk in a different venue about how we do firework displays at the city for our larger events, but from the commercial grade side. But for the consumer grade side, I hear from constituents year-round, particularly around the holidays, where fireworks are legal to discharge, that the hours go on and on. The number of police calls that we take in response to fireworks going off outside of the hours in which they're legally allowed to be discharged, and the city resources that go into it, in addition to the trauma, the PTSD that we talked about, the noise and air pollution, and the flagrant disregard for the rules. So I don't disagree with you. I'm a drone man myself, but here we are. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay. We are to, sorry, I need 1 second here. We are to ordinances for passage. We have an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend Chapter 1462 of the Lansing Codified Ordinances, Section 1462.03, to bring the acreage limitation for total neighborhood enterprise zones in the city into conformity with state law. Is read a second time by its title. The ordinance was reported from the Committee on Development and Planning and is on the order of immediate passage.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. See here. So yes, we're looking, basically the city is looking to come into compliance with the state regulation for 15% of the total acreage of an NEZ, which is I'll just kind of read the notes I have here. The state of Michigan passed the neighborhood enterprise zone in '92 to encourage development of residential housing for new and rehabilitated facilities. And the Lansing Economic Development Corporation came and presented of the benefits and that there's, oh, can you guys hear me? Sorry about that. The need to come into compliance, so there was just a few changes about clarifying total combined acreage for all neighborhood enterprise zones and going from not exceeding from 1% to 15% of the total acreage to come into state compliance.
All right. With that, we have a motion to move the ordinance.
Yes.
And roll call vote. Mr. Clerk?
On the passage of the ordinance, Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cost.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted.
Okay. With that, are you asking for immediate effect?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor of immediate effect say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to speaker registration for public comment on city government-related matters. That's any of the referral items or any other city government-related issue. The yellow sign-in sheet is in the back. We'll give you about another 30 seconds to sign in if you haven't already had an opportunity. And in the meantime, we are to reports of city officers, boards, and commissions.
Vice President Garza.
Thank you, Council President. So I make a motion that all items be considered as being read in full and that the proper referrals be made by the President.
All right, we have a motion before us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, items from the clerk, minutes of boards and commissions.
Placed on file.
Nonprofit recognition, Citizens for Prison Reform.
City operations.
And from the mayor, we have donation acceptance, Lansing Police Department Special Tactics and Rescue Team.
Ways and Means and Internal Auditor.
And donation acceptance, Lansing Police Department Firing Range Unit.
Ways and Means and Internal Auditor.
We have the 2023 report on cost of warming and cooling centers.
Committee of a Whole and Internal Auditor.
2023 report on stump grinding.
Committee of a Whole and Internal Auditor.
And 2023 report on community mental health, social worker, housing outreach specialist.
Committee of a Whole and Internal Auditor.
And I'm sorry, we also have for referral from the mayor, the late item, the resolution regarding the emergency fund.
And that'll go to the Internal Auditor and Committee of a Whole.
Okay, we are to motion of excused absence.
We have Vice President Garza.
I make a motion to excuse Councilmember Hussein. I'm not sure about Spitzley and Councilwoman Spitzley.
All right. We have a motion to excuse Councilmember Hussein and Spitzley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And we are to remarks by council members.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. I ask this body for an extension, President Wood and yourself, for the reporting out of the ad hoc on homeless and solutions committee report. We had some scheduling conflicts. We weren't able to all to get together for our prior final meeting, and I want to make sure that I get all council member committees' input before we provide that to this body.
Okay, that was due on the 11th, so you're asking to have it postponed till the 18th?
Yes, please.
Okay, so, yes, we can grant that. And you can have it into us on the 18th, because that will still make the deadline for the budget priorities. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Other council member comments? Seeing none, Mayor Shore? No comments from the mayor at this time.
Okay, we are to public comment on city government related matters. Our first speaker is Stan Schuck and then Loretta Stanaway.
Good evening, Stan Schuck. I want to move quick. First of all, I'd like to say God bless all the victims of 9/11. But I would like to also say how hideous the park looked down there. Grass was over their ankles. I mean, it was terrible. Needed to be weed whipped, 2-foot-high weeds. That doesn't, the optics of that are terrible. But what I want to speak about is what the chief said about the sirens and them not working. And you're putting everybody in this city at risk. Look at what happened in Maui, Camp Fire, Paradise Fire, other natural disasters. Without a warning system, you're asking for catastrophic injuries and destruction. That is just amazes me that that's been going on for 1.5 years and we didn't know. He said this is an ongoing issue for 1.5 years. What neighborhoods are in jeopardy? Do we have to wait for a tornado to come through and level a neighborhood to find out if that's one of them that doesn't have an alarm like Jeremy's neighborhood? And for his excuse to say that the winds were traveling in a direction, you cannot predict where a tornado was going to go or the trail. The drone footage of the one that went through Perry should tell you that. It swerved from side to side for miles. They could be miles wide. That's ridiculous. What sirens don't work? What neighborhoods are in jeopardy? We have a right to know. So when adverse things happen, we can shelter our families and our loved ones. That's ridiculous. And it's absolutely unacceptable in my mind. And I would like to say the chip sealing. You know, it was going to be spring, it was going to be August, and then it was going to be September. We got a mailing saying it was going to be the week of September 5th, September 11th. Nothing's been done. Haven't heard anything, haven't seen anything. The storm cleanup hasn't been done in the neighborhood. And with that said, you see now where the 6 seasonals would be absolutely be able to be used in this storm cleanup. And for you to say, for Andy to say that the compost seasonals will be utilized for the cleanup, there are none still. We've been paying for that since spring. We've been paying for 6 positions. Everybody in here, every property owner in the city has been paying for that. And we don't have any of them. And that's ridiculous. That is fraud, like I say, week in and week out. And I'll keep saying it until you get it. And you all know. You all know that, and you all approved the raise in the fee, knowing that. And knowing that the services aren't being done, knowing that the sweeping's not being done, knowing that they're not buying the trucks, knowing that they're not filling the or getting the catch basins or filling the positions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schuck. Just so that you know, there will be a report that the fire chief has done on the sirens that's going to public safety, and I think that will be taken up on September 19th. And then we'll make sure that all council members receive a copy of that.
Okay. Thank you. Next is Loretta Stanaway, followed by Betty Nostrand.
Okay. Okay, just a couple things tonight. The report on cooling and warming centers. To my thinking, if we're gonna need warming centers because it's too cold out, it's cold during the daytime and it's cold at night. And if we're gonna need cooling centers because it's too hot out, it's hot during the day and it's hot at night as well. People that don't have air conditioning can't cool their houses at night by opening windows if there's no breeze. So we need to look at providing 24/7 coverage when the conditions permit or are required. They aren't required 800 days or 800 hours or 500 hours or whatever a year. You might have a total of, say, between the two, you might have at the most maybe 45 days where you need to provide heating or cooling to the people who are in need of that service. We have community centers. All 4 of them from each ward could be utilized. They're already open during the daytime. They're already staffed, they're already utilitied. It's not a question of needing to come in and provide a whole new facility or a different location for them. Use the facilities you have, the staff you have, the utilities you're already paying for, and just keep them open at night when the requirement is there. And then on the stump grinding, I would hope that by now we've learned, after going through this process of outsourcing the mowing and the weed whacking to companies and selling all the Parks and Rec equipment to do that, that it is not cost effective to go outside and that it is not gonna be a case of apples and oranges to look at having outside versus having inside. If you buy the equipment, or if you rent or lease the equipment. If you buy, rent, or lease the equipment, at some point you hit a break even and you're not paying anymore for that. You're only paying for labor, and labor in-house is always cheaper. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Betty Nonstrand, followed by Crystal White.
Actually, no strand.
Thank you.
I live at 417 Westbury Avenue in Ward 2. My mother and my grandmother were living right next door to me. That's actually the reason I moved into that house. They are the property owners at 423 Westbury Avenue, and that's why I'm here. My 63-year-old mother is on oxygen. My 84-year-old grandmother are the ones who lived in that house. And they had a fire. And like the other homes with 4 out of 5 that you've talked about tonight that had a fire, my mom and my grandmother are trying to rebuild their home. My grandmother has lived in this city her entire life, all 84 years. She was the first drug and alcohol abuse nurse in this state. And she is having to fight with the permit departments for building and code to get her new house built. And they are charging her fee on top of fee that should not be charged. I'm sorry. I'm very emotional about this.
It's okay.
My grandmother gave her entire life, and so did my grandfather, to the city. My whole family lives here. And we are very active people in this city. And I want to know why my grandmother at 84 years old, after the trauma of a fire, is having to fight with building and codes to get a permit so she can build a house, after trying to fight with them to get a permit to demo the house. Every part of this has been a fight for her. And at 84 years old, she doesn't need that fight. My 64-year-old mother on oxygen does not need that fight. We hired a contractor less than a week after the fire to try and get them in a house before Christmas. The contractor right now is still fighting about the permits. And my grandmother at this point will not be in her home for Christmas, and she might be out on the streets because
Thank
she
you,
does
ma'am.
not have the insurance money.
If you can stay after the meeting, Councilmember Garza is your second ward council member, and he will come down and talk to you after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Crystal White, followed by Dan Rathbun.
Both of us kind of talk together. But we came here because of, obviously we have a homeless issue. I'm actually one of the technically homeless. I've been homeless for almost 3 years because my house flooded and code compliance just threw everything away, including my dad's ashes. Like, they just came to my house because my neighbors complained 75 days in a row. Nothing, I wasn't doing anything illegal. They completely put me out, got ticketed, got arrested and everything, cleaning my own house on my own property because my neighbors bullied me out of my house because they hated me. So I go out there every day. I clean up trash, I clean up all this debris, I clean up syringes behind the homeless. No, I'm sorry, like the bums, because there is a difference between homeless and bums. Homeless clean up after themselves. The bums leave these big, huge messes, and we all get lumped together. I know both sides. The only issue is that they have no toilet, they have no showers, they have no electricity, and they have no way to cook food. So if you put, like, let's say, a shower next to a porta potty somewhere, they wouldn't have the problem of having to use a bathroom outside in the bushes somewhere, putting God knows what into the atmosphere, because, trust me, drugs do not just disappear. They come out in that way, and they are all in the water. The fish is tested positive for meth, 4 or 5 years ago? So our biggest issue is the fact that I clean up fecal matter. I clean up syringes because there's no place to dispose of them. They just throw them everywhere. There's not enough trash receptacles, and if we had, let's say, like a year-round bathroom for them to use, it'd be a whole lot cleaner around there because they prefer to not poop in the woods, guaranteed. Nobody likes that. The middle of the city is really busy. And it's just something small like that would make people feel less degraded. It's like they have to dig in the trash for their food already because the businesses treat everybody like they're disgusting, like they're nothing. And they make sure that you feel that way. Speedway specifically moved their ice machine to block their plugs so you couldn't charge your phone outside anymore. They locked their bathrooms because people go there because it's the only place they got to go and use their illicit drugs. But that's not everybody. That's 1 in a million, so you lock everybody out because of it. The businesses around there shun you. They make you feel like a complete garbage, especially Old Town. Like, none of us even go to Old Town anymore, and they think that it's cool that they can push everybody out. But we're not there to cause a problem. It's like we have no other place to go. I had an $80,000 house and kicked down the street because my basement flooded and my roof leaked because the inspector didn't do his job. Code compliance, when I told them that there was proof of me and my niece being assaulted in this big pile, didn't even bother to call the cops. She just said, "Oh, nice ironing board," and kicked me out after I let her in. I told her my dad's ashes fell off my neck and they're in this pile of debris that I can't find. They scooped him up and threw him away into the trash. That's what I got from code compliance. The officers didn't care. The chief of police said there was an arrest on site warrant for me because my neighbors called the cops every single day that I was there for watering my grass or putting a pole up in my yard. They didn't get in trouble for that. Because what? I have a mental disorder. I'm on disability. I have bruising on both sides of my brain, and I still held down a job and still bought a house with my 2 kids. Just to have my neighbors throw me completely away.
Thank you. Next is Dan Rathbun, followed by Erica Lynn. Dan Rathbun. Does he wish to pass? Okay, go ahead, Erica Lynn. Oh, okay. Okay, he doesn't want to speak. Okay. Erica Lynn and then Mike Lynn. In the meantime, we'll go ahead with Erica Lynn and then Mike Lynn.
He's coming down.
Does he wish to speak? Okay, he does. Okay.
My name's David Bashaw. I've lived in Lansing pretty much all my life. My mother was a secretary, or worked for Secretary of State for 25 years before she retired. And she took me to a lot of political functions just to meet people and do different things. And she said, if you ever have a problem, all you have to do is go talk to City Hall. I tried that. I mean, just going to one person or the other instead of coming to a meeting and never got anywhere. And said, well, they don't listen to you. She passed away, and one of her friends, Alfreda Smith, she invited me to come to a council meeting, and I wasn't a person that really liked to speak in public. But over the past 15 years, I've just watched this whole city go down the tube. I left town for 3 years, come back, and everything's gone, all the plants, and nothing's been done to replace anything. It looks like a wasteland. Friends that, I mean, were very well off, I find, living in the streets. And there's no real explanation for it. Thousands of empty houses. Nobody's doing anything. They condemn them, they tear them down, but the ones that can be fixed, they just sit there. And the city's doing nothing about it. It used to be, well, you forced the landlord to fix it, or you took it. The city took it and done something with it. What happened to that? All these people sleeping in the streets and all these empty houses. And
These homeless people know how to fix the houses.
yeah, a lot of the people, I mean, I've even gone in and offered just to help fix some of them up for free if they put the homeless in there. Oh, that's against policy, or that they can't do it. Yeah, they can. All you gotta do is okay it.
Work on merit.
There's a drug rehab center on Willow Street that's been empty for 5 years. It would be a perfect homeless shelter. The Logan Square Mall would be another one. How many people could you house in that? Instead of wasting that empty space. Because I know if there's 4 stores in there running heat, it's heating the rest of the building. Mr. Cobb has done a good job of life. I was one that always sit in the back and just hollered about what could be done instead of stepping up. Mr. Cobb showed me how to step up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That was not Dan Rathbun, though. Was Mr. Rathbun not here? Okay. Then we have Erica Lynn, followed by Mike Lynn.
Boy, I gotta tell you, it gets really hard to listen to our community in so much pain, come up here so often. And it's not just them. There's a lot of people in our community that are hurting. There are a lot of issues that our city is facing. And it might seem that I come here every 2 weeks and I've got an agenda, I'm building a narrative or whatever it is that people may say about me. And you're damn right, I do have an agenda. Our people, our city is something that we don't even recognize, and I cannot help to just understand and know why. When you allow corruption at the highest levels of leadership, this is what you get. You get a hurting city, a dying city, a city that is just struggling to stay above water. What I actually came up here, and I hope I have enough time to, but it's okay, you guys will have it in your inbox if you don't already. I talked about an ethics complaint. That has gotten misconstrued in so many different ways, and it has transformed into something that we're now just skirting responsibility at this point. So I am now formally requesting that the City Council revisit the motion that you all passed on the opinion that was given by the city attorney's office, specifically Jim Smirka, to seek outside counsel in reference to that opinion. That was put on the table by Councilmember Spitzley. It was supported by Councilmember Hussein, and it was passed unanimously, 7-0 at the 7/24/23 Committee of the Whole meeting. Since that motion carried, the next step was going to be to review the outside counsel list and then take recommendations. But at the 8/14/23 Committee of the Whole meeting, that discussion completely derailed. It got completely off of the tracks, and it was made completely and utterly confusing by a simple question that Pat Spitzley asked pertaining to my potential ethics complaint. That motion has nothing to do with my potential ethics complaint. So whether or not I, as a little old citizen, decide to move forward with that process should have no bearing whatsoever on you all seeking outside counsel, because as you all stated publicly in that meeting, you did not agree with that July 10th opinion by the city attorney, Jim Smirka. The fact that question number 4 pertaining to that opinion was, are campaign funding communications a violation of the city's ethics ordinance? It was given a resounding no in that opinion. You all disagreed with that completely, clearly. You discussed it. But they only addressed the finance issues and not all of the rest of the concerns that you all talked about in front of us and discussed publicly. That should be enough to move forward with that outside counsel. So I would like for my potential ethics complaint to be completely separated from these discussions. It has no bearing on this body's original concerns when you passed that motion. That motion needs to be put back on the table. We don't get to just act like it didn't happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mike Lynn, followed by Scott Cobb.
So eloquently put by Erica Lynn. I think you all know that needs to come back out, and I appreciate her separating the two, because our ethics complaint, even though although signed by you all, is going to go a completely different place. What I want to say to this council is that I'm proud of you all for what you guys have been able to do, and I'm going to look at this side of the table. I'm proud of you all for what you guys have been doing up to this point, honestly. I think that you guys are recognizing when I always talk about like having a thief in the house and your stuff just keeps coming up missing, instead of just keep asking the question of why or where it's going, you're recognizing where the problem is. I've seen the back and forth, and I've seen people really trying to hold accountability. The world is watching this. I mean, I think that's pretty apparent when the email that we're talking about soliciting funds only brought in, I think, $1,000 from a city that elected this guy twice. And then the person who was the only candidate endorsed is dropped out now. The window's tightening up. It's tightening up. It's getting really tight. After looking through just the 256 emails that we received from the city attorney, can't even believe they actually gave us a couple of them. There's absolute ethics violations that I probably remove him from his position, but who's going to do it? That's the question. So as I'm really concerned about our time frame here for what you guys are talking about and getting results back from this stuff before they wipe this council out and bring newbies in here. I think the city is watching it all. You all have got to take a concerted effort to bring accountability. If the top brass, the absolute person in the city who has the most power is not ever held accountable, you know how that floods out throughout the city. And that's the issue. So just as if, like I said, just small things, not returning emails, not releasing a FOIA after it's been appealed and the city council president tells you to release it. These little issues like this that are right in your face, can you imagine the things that happen when it's not in your face? Can you imagine the things that are happening behind closed doors that you may not see when they just have a complete devoid of law or concern about anybody filing a complaint or any of those things when they know the complaint goes to their inside folks and so on? You guys are the only stopgap that we all know is the problems that we all know are here. And I'm not chastising you because I know I've had conversations. People are really worried about where to turn. Where do we go? We all know that the stuff has happened. Where do we turn? Brian T. Jackson didn't sign it, and I think one of the reasons why is because what's going to happen? We find he did all this stuff wrong, and then what? Let's answer that question now. Trump is finding his day right now. You know, he went through 4 years of this thinking he was lawless too. Let's answer that question. What now? We've released emails already to this point that are clear violations of the ethics ordinance. using company time and resources for campaign stuff that you all have already seen because most of you follow America. What now? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Scott Cobb, followed by Micah Becker.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and all in attendance tonight. Let me paint a very vivid picture for you as to how you treat your poor and the homeless here in your city. For you tell them they cannot be here nor there and give them no other opportunity in which to go. For they set up their camps in a new location each time only to have the cops show up and tell them that they have 5 minutes to vacate, leaving behind what little they have to escape persecution before being forced out of what little protection in which they have from the elements. Now just imagine, Mayor and City Council members, if this were happening to you. How would that make you feel? To keep losing everything you own and to have to find another location in which to stay. For does this saying come to mind? Do unto others as you would have done unto you? For trust me, for there is a much greater power who is going to do just that, for he is your heavenly Father. For if you do not lend a helping hand to those that are in need, that hand will surely be cut off from reaching out to your heavenly Father when you yourself are in your time of need. For Proverbs 21:13 clearly states, if a man shuts his ears to the cry of the poor, he too will cry out and not be answered. For Proverbs 14:31 clearly states, he that oppresseth the poor reproaches his maker, but he that honoreth him have mercy on the poor. For Luke 14:11 clearly states, for whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. But be not dismayed at who stands before you here tonight in the words in which he has given me to preach to you, for I know who I am. For he has chosen me for this appointed time to give you all a stern warning of the things to come. For the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering the sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach an acceptable year of the Lord. For my Father has told me, if I ask, I shall receive. If I seek, I will find. And if I knock, the doors will be opened up to me. For I ask you, Mayor and City Council, to give me and my followers a safe place to dwell in your city. For we ask only out of need, or out of need, and not that of want. An abandoned apartment complex would be just fine. For us to be free and live according to God's will, to be left alone and to be taxed. No more of the burdens in which you place upon us. For if you wish to see us here no more, you will grant that in which I ask. For if you wish to deny my request, I will ask my Father to deny you in the days to come. And he will judge each and every one of you according to your works.
Sir.
Make no mistake.
Sir.
For I know who I am.
Sir, your time is
I
up.
pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And our final
Thank you,
speaker
sir.
tonight
Thank you, sir.
is Micah Becker.
Hello, sir.
What was that?
I said hello.
Oh. I just wanted to say Michael Lynn is speaking on behalf of a lot of people out here. There's a lot of people that don't even know what this meeting is, and he's speaking for a lot of people out here that aren't willing to come to these types of things. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of reference of what's going out here in these city streets. Also wanted to say my grandfather was a military man, and my father, and he built Logan Center. And coming from a military family, we know code of conduct and rules of engagement and stuff like that. And I feel like our police are out of hand out of hand. And I know we don't really want lawlessness, and we can't go completely defund the police, but putting money into our people is going to help save that back end of not needing the police. That's just my belief. There's a lot of people out here trying to like oversell and swing it to a crazy long story short, extremism was the word I was looking for. I don't know. Let me slow down here. We still got a minute and 20. So a while ago, there was some protests for the George Floyd stuff that was going on, and a lot of people marched up to Andy Shore's house, and a lot of these people were people that had problems with the police but would not be willing to come to the city in order to speak on that, but felt comfortable enough to come to the person that's supposed to be the defense between us and all these problems. And I would just love for whatever count or like trying to think of the proper terms to get elected, campaign, whatever campaign you run, you should definitely tell us all about how much reform has actually happened within the police council, because a year and a half ago you told us that there was going to be a lot of changes and a lot of training and a whole lot of explicits that haven't happened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that was our final speaker.
And with that, we are adjourned.